Hey, welcome to Strickland's and Friends.
Today we're making a winter squash stew with collard greens.
I've got the cut up kaboka squash.
What we need next is 1 onion cut up and 3 cloves of garlic minced. So I have the pot starting to heat over medium to medium high heat. Now that the pan is nice and hot, I'm going to go ahead and dump in the onion. And we'll start cooking that. I'm using water to do a water saute. We're just trying to get them to where they're translucent. And they're just about there. And I think they're pretty translucent. So now I'm going to add all that garlic. And we'll let that cook for just about 30 seconds. Okay, then we're going to add in all that squash that you cut up. And I've already set aside about 3 cups worth of this broth, and then we're bringing it up to a boil.
And this has been on medium-high heat all along.
Yes,
but now you're turning
I just turned it up to high because I'm bringing it to a boil.
Cool.
So what we're adding now, dried seasoning thyme, so it is actually 1 whole tablespoon of thyme, or you could do 2 whole tablespoons of fresh thyme. All right, so we're trying to bring it up to a boil, and then once that comes to a boil, we'll bring it back down to just a simmer, and then we'll put the lid on it. That'll actually help keep the heat in, and just let it simmer for about 10 minutes until the pieces of the kaboka squash are very, very tender. Okay, so it's coming up to a boil. So what I'm going to do is reduce that heat way down to medium-low and put a lid on it. And then we're going to switch. So now what we're going to cook while that's simmering over here on the other burner, we're going to do the collard greens. We always use parts of the more tender stem from the collards because I don't want to lose all that good fiber and all those nutrients, and so I save not the real woody parts at the bottom, but the rest of it from the middle, and I dice it all up. So we're going to add that to the burner, and I'll heat it back up to medium-high. And I have saved aside a little bit of vegetable broth, and so we're going to cook this in vegetable broth. So we'll let that saute for just a little bit. Well, about a medium. It's a medium-high. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to add these. This is 1 whole bunch of collard greens that I already cut up.
So you decided it was time just because they're this nice bright green, and
they're bright green and they look like they're starting to get a little soft. And that's what we want. We don't want them still hard and crunchy. Maybe a little crunch, but not too much. And then we'll add all of these greens. And I'm going to add a little bit more water. So we want to get all of it to the heat.
So your temperature's at a 6 now.
Yeah, we could probably turn it up just a pinch.
So you turned it up to an 8.
We just want it to get wilty and tender. In fact, I think they're pretty much done.
Okay.
So I am going to turn the heat off under here.
Bring the soup forward.
Perfect.
So we're keeping the squash at
keep the lid on.
About a 5,
yep.
Medium heat. So it's been 13 minutes since we shut off the cameras.
Which means it's probably been about 15 or 16 minutes that it's been cooking. And you'll know that the squash is ready if you can take a spoon and smash a piece of it up against the side. So what I'm going to do is take an immersion blender. Oh yeah, it's definitely tender. Okay, so I'm going to take an immersion blender, and remember we already cooked the collards, but we don't want them to get pureed up. So we're going to take the immersion blender and turn the heat way down and put this in. And blend it up. You could leave some chunks of squash. I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
But you could add 1/4 of a cup of nutritional yeast. I could have added that before we blended or after. It doesn't really matter in what order you add the nutritional yeast, but we're going to add that in and stir it in. And then, now for the last part, we're taking our cooked collard greens and adding them right back in. And we'll stir them all in. Oh, that looks so good, doesn't it? And then we'll add some fresh cracked pepper. And it is done. Thanks for watching.